Hey everybody, it's summertime here in California. Another week filled with 100 degrees, no clouds in sight, packed beaches, and a sunburn or two. Sounds like a typical routine for the most of us, right? Now, how many of us love lazy days on the beach, picnics in the park, or camping during summer? The majority of Californians would consider themselves outdoorsy, and from a look at the packed beaches and 6 months in advance reservations required for popular campsites, this is no exaggeration. No, I'm not here to tell you how to beat the crowds and fill you in my secret beach spots or camping areas. I'm here to tell you for less than $20 this summer, you can avoid burns, early onset of aging skin, and even cancer. If that doesn't sound like a bargain, I don't know what is. I'll be explaining what the problem is, what's the cause, a solution to the issue, and one opinion against what I believe will help. Now, let's put on some sunglasses and look straight at the problem. The first issue is simple enough to see. Within a few hours of too much exposure to ultraviolet light, either from the sun or artificial lights like tanning beds, leads to a sunburn. With help from Prudhas' article on sunburns on mayoclinic.org, I'll be explaining what a sunburn is. When our sun is exposed to UV light, it protects itself by producing melanin faster, thus making a tan. Melanin is what gives our skin the color it has. It's the body's natural way of protecting itself from burning. Unfortunately, it's not enough and can lead to sunburns. Hot, painful tenderness could be associated with swelling and blisters. Repeated exposure to UV can cause aging of the skin and lead to skin cancer. Thanks to my phone interview with Shannon Fryermuth, a stage 4 cancer survivor, I learned about the 3 different types of cancer exposure to UV can cause. The most common type of cancer you can get from this exposure is basal cell carcinoma. Basal cells are located under the first layer of the skin. Basal cells produce new skin as they push old dead skin to the surface where it falls off. Basal cell is when UV radiation mutates the basal cell's DNA, causing basal cells to multiply repeatedly, making layer upon layer and layer of skin that would normally fall off and die, but it doesn't. Here's a picture of what it looks like. It can be cured with surgery and chemotherapy. The second most common skin cancer is squamous cell, also known as SCC. Similarly to basal cell, exposure to UV leads to mutation in the top layer of the skin, the epidermis. SCC tends to make scaly red patches, open sores, or warts on the skin. These abnormal growths can develop anywhere in the body, but they're most often found in areas that receive the most exposure to UV, either from sunlight tanning beds, lamps, or the sun. The condition usually isn't life-threatening, but it becomes very dangerous if it gets untreated. Growths can increase in size and spread to other parts of the body, causing serious complications. Here's a picture of SCC. The last type of skin cancer is the most serious, and happens to be the type that Shannon, the stage 4 skin cancer survivor, had, melanoma. Melanoma, much like the 2 other skin cancers, causes the skin to grow out of control and form cancerous cell masses. But unlike the other 2s, this one spreads extremely easily throughout the body. Individuals diagnosed with a stage 4 melanoma have 15 to 20% chances of living past 5 years after their diagnosis. Treatment includes chemotherapy, radiation therapy, surgery, and if those 3 don't work, patients are encouraged to participate in clinical trials with experimental drugs for research. Yikes. Now that we see what UV from the sun and tanning lights can do, let's talk about the cause. The main cause of basal cell and squamous cell and melanoma is repeated, prolonged exposure to UV from the sun or tanning beds without sunscreen, protective clothing, or shade breaks. The article that I found called SunScam by Castleman on website motherjones.com claims that sunscreen is actually the problem. That sunscreen gives people a false sense of security and leaves people staying in the sun too long and actually causing more skin cancer. And I quote, "Melanoma has become the nation's fastest rising cancer, and sunscreen scales have continued to climb. Castleman uses its direct correlation between sunscreen sales and the rising cancer cases is enough to seal the deal for him on the correlation of sunscreen actually leads to cancer. Now, I'm not a dermatologist or a scientist, but I do know a practical solution to this problem. It seems to me we're revolving around this issue. We can simply blow up the sun or completely block it from the earth, ending all related cancers forever. This solution may not be the best, but it would certainly help. Let's look at something that we as normal individuals can actually do about this, though. Agnew, author of Fast Facts Skin Cancer, Nedstead, author of Sun Protection, MayoClinic.org, and Shannon all agree and say this about skin cancer prevention. When outdoors, use sunscreen. Apply it thick and often. Make sure your sunscreen blocks UVA and UVB light. Seek the shade when possible. Bring a beach umbrella with you, canopy, or wear long sleeves with pants that completely avoid tanning beds altogether. Now let's chill out in the shade for a few and go over what we just learned. There are a few types of cancer you can get from exposure to tanning lights and the sun. They are baso, squamous cell, and melanoma. Bring an umbrella or canopy with you to areas where there's no shade available, and using a sunscreen that blocks both UVA and UVB rays will significantly lower your odds of getting any of these cancers almost entirely. Some people feel as though the sunscreens make people believe they're invincible to the sun, but with the correct usage, sunscreen and seeking the shade will make a huge impact on these three cancers. Take your time and apply sunscreen often, seek the shade when your skin is hot, and bring shade with you when there's none around. 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their life. You owe it to yourself, your friends, and family to try your best to protect yourself and others from the sun. And seeking the shade when you're out for long periods of time. Don't be another statistic. $20 could save your life, stop the early aging process, and help you avoid looking redder than a tomato and shedding like a lizard a few days later. Alright guys, stay safe out there, and don't forget to wear your sunscreen.